So it seems that there's going to be a new Warhammer 40K preview show at the end of this week. Games Workshop promises lots of 40K reveals. Let's talk about the most likely things for them to show off. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today we're talking about Games Workshop's latest reveal show. It seems that they've found time to do another live reveal stream this month. It might be some of the last big announcements that we get for 40K in 2022, perhaps besides any big Christmas previews they should decide to do. This latest preview show that they've announced is going to be happening this Friday for people over in the USA, 9 PM MST apparently. For those of us here in the UK, it's going to be a bit of an early one, 4 AM or 5 AM depending on where you're based in Europe. I think it'll work out as one that I'll be okay to be around for, so I'll certainly cover the roundup for 40K in a video after the stream and try and summarise all the important stuff and any cool model reveals. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see that. The event that this stream will be associated with is GW's preview event at the US Open in Santa Ana, New Mexico, an event that sounds like it's going to have the usual Age of Sigmar and 40K tournaments. They've got a little schedule as to what they're streaming. Apparently they will be showcasing several games over the weekend if you want to watch some live 40K on their Twitch channel. Rather interestingly, they've also got something called a Grand Narrative event for 40K. To be honest, in terms of watching streams, that sounds more interesting than the tournaments for me, just as I'm a bit curious as to what a Grand Narrative event actually means. It sounds like from their description that they're going to be setting some sort of event in the Pariah Nexus, and supposedly the actual outcome of the thing will change 40K's lore in some way, recorded in the annals of 40K history. Perhaps the most fun thing would be to find out whether or not it actually changes anything meaningful in the galaxy at large. The event is apparently set on a key system within the Pariah Nexus, with multiple agents including Chaos and Xenos fighting for control of the worlds. My guess would probably be that it winds up just being a fluffy event saying this happened here and the Imperium was either victorious or defeated, but if it actually does anything bigger or more meaningful, that would be kind of cool, I guess. I would say that compared with some of the other previews online, I'd say this one is probably going to be a bit on the smaller side out of the ones that we get from Games Workshop. We had that 40K preview not so long ago where it was entirely dedicated to Warhammer 40K, showing off a whole bunch of the new guard stuff. My guess would be that we don't see reveals on that kind of scale, probably just a few small kits, maybe a book or two or some clues as to the future. I'd say if you go in expecting a bit of World Eater stuff and maybe some advancement on the Arcs of Omen situation, then that's where I'd set my expectations. Anything else that they happen to surprise us with is a bit of a bonus in my eyes. Talking of what's actually been shown off, they did say it's Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Underworlds, Necromunda, and 40K. I feel like maybe the order that they've announced them in might be some indication that 40K isn't going to dominate the previews and it isn't going to be mainly 40K with a bit of the other stuff, probably a fairly even split between them. Still though, to counteract that, in one of their videos promoting the thing, I did notice that Mr. Troke said that there would be lots for Warhammer 40K though, which implies rather more than say just one kit reveal. Games Workshop always are a little bit nebulous as to these previews though. They want as many people tuning in as possible to find out about new stuff, so they're hardly likely to say that this one's going to be a small one. In terms of what it's going to bring, I'd guess that maybe it's not going to be Kill Team, maybe something World Eaters, Arcs of Omen, or there's a few other possibilities. Usually if they've got these reveal sessions, then they typically put in the Kill Team logo if it's going to be something for Kill Team specific, and generally when they reveal the squads from those, the emphasis is for their Kill Team rules as opposed to their 40K reveals, even if they usually wind up getting some fun 40K datasheets at some stage. Kill Team's really not impossible though. They have been keeping the releases for this coming pretty consistently, and we do know that they have a couple of different Space Hawk themed boxes to go, and I can't help but think that some reimagined Gene Stealers will be very nice to put in one of those. I feel like it would be a big shame to have a squad-based infiltration combat type thing, all set in a Space Hulk, and not have the rather old Gene Stealer models get an update at some point in the process. Otherwise, for rumour engines and things, there have been some talk of Inquisitor warbands or maybe Chaos Beastmen. I think we saw part of a weapon that kind of looks like a Gland Warrior, a slightly exotic inquisitorial henchman from the Inquisitor game. Kill Team will certainly be getting some more previews at some point. With the logo not being talked about though, seems unlikely that it will be here. On the other hand though, I'd be very surprised if we don't see at least something World Eaters. The Codex is the next one that's confirmed from Games Workshop after Guard. Guard still haven't had their official proper release yet. Their Codex release and the new kits will likely be in January, unless they pull something quite quickly and surprise us in December. And I'd guess that World Eaters will be after that, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. At this stage though, they could certainly reveal us the Codex cover. I feel like that wouldn't be the biggest spoiler in the world, or even just reveal the Astra Militarum Codex cover, which I believe that we still don't have yet. Otherwise, in the Big Bad Angron preview, we also saw a couple of other models lurking in the background. the unique raised melee cultists on the top right there. In the Service of Khorne, it looks like they're going to be very angry boys once more. That slightly dubious points leak had them listed as jackals. I guess if we have them revealed and we get their name, then that might well tell us whether or not the points leak was accurate or whether it was fake. On the bottom left, just behind Angron's win, there's also some big angry shirtless guy. To me, he looks like he could be a mini character or some version of World Eater's Possessed, perhaps. The image is particularly blurry and hard to make out, though. I guess if we were going by that dubious points leak, then the other thing that he could be would be an 8-bound, whatever that is. Not sure whether he's an individual character model or part of a squad from this shot. Otherwise though, given that that points leak had a bunch of different suspicious issues with it, including being page 88 and missing out some surprising choices and having some weird page numbering, hopefully there might well be a whole load more available for the World Eaters. There's plenty of things on the wish list for World Eaters players, I think. Plenty of characters, including a generic lord and maybe some support ones like the Death Guard got. I think people will be quite sad if we don't get Red Butcher's Terminators. Death Guard and Thousand Sons got those, and they're certainly some of the most iconic and dangerous units in the Codex. Having World Eaters just have to use the generic Terminator kit would be a little bit of a flavour loss, I feel. Mutilators are certainly a possibility, given that Games Workshop showed off that weird possessed arm with the chainsword in it. It looks very Cult of Destruction to me, and that could potentially be interesting news not just for World Eaters players, but maybe for Chaos Space Marine players in general. They might well make the datasheet playable to Chaos Marines again, as it was removed in the last Codex. Otherwise, I think it would be really nice to see a unique Demon Engine or Hellbrute of some sort. The Death Guard got really quite a nice representation in Demon Engines, and again it makes for a really iconic army list. Something like a Blood Slaughterer or some sort of new incarnation of a Brass Scorpion would be really cool to have rendered in plastic. My guess is that we'd see at least 1 or 2 World Eaters kits. So far we've just had Angron, the Berserkers and the Lord Invocatus model. Hopefully there'll be a fair bit more. Next up, the other thing that I would expect to see at least some progression on is Arcs of Omen. This is Games Workshop's end of 9th edition campaign where Abaddon the Despoiler's going off to secure a whole bunch of mysterious space hulks, and it's going to have an expansion for 40k where you fight indoors and you can't take monsters or vehicles. Currently the latest on that is that they've got a tarot countdown that's ending at Christmas. All really super vague stuff, to be honest. The first one's got the galaxy, then it's the Despoiler. Not really telling us anything new other than Abaddon the Despoiler's coming for the galaxy, which he normally is anyway, to be fair. I feel like it's highly likely that they could properly show off this Arcaphane character that they teased in the last preview. They basically already gave us a really clear shot of the miniature's profile, some mechanical wings, that Mechadendrite hammer, and the Flamer Claw. I feel like seeing as they have already kind of half revealed this model already, it'll be quite an easy one to reveal next and actually give us the proper backstory on the character. Otherwise, the cover and some details of the contents on the first book will be very nice. Some rules teasers on 40k but indoors mode will be kind of fun. And supposedly the series is going to have a bunch of other character releases of one sort or another. Some rumours have been saying new resculpts for various Space Marine chapter masters or Farsight, and we had some artwork depicting a Primaris Cato Sicarius as well, so I'd be surprised if we don't get him at some stage. Generally anything that gives us more details on the format of what to expect from the campaign series though would be very nice. It might still be slightly sketchy details though, and I feel that we'll get a box set reveal on Christmas Day, as the Tarot series seems to be counting down to that. I feel like in a preview that's going to last a quarter of the different models available, we're not going to see much more than that, but there's definitely other possibilities. A teaser for what's going to be coming next after World Eaters wouldn't be the worst. There is rumoured to be a new Space Marine Codex sometime in 2023, and the Space Marine Codex chapter supplements like Ultramarines, Raven Guard and things haven't been updated yet. A new version of those wouldn't be the worst. Apparently there's a Redemptor Dreadnought with a melter weapon and some jump Primaris in the works. Again, likely a whole bunch of updated Primaris character sculpts for unique characters that are still in resin, and there could be more Battle Force boxes like the Imperial Fist ones and Raven Guard that we had billed as Christmas box sets, but were packaged very differently to the rest of them. Perhaps the biggest question for the next Space Marine round of things is whether it's going to be before or after 10th edition. After would feel like it could be released quite late. Before, and it could be a bit weird though, if you get the rules then all of a sudden everything changes under it, before it's been out by very long. Any further details of the future will be good. I guess they could also talk about the chapter approved book, as that's not been officially announced yet, but we kind of already know that it's going to be coming in January. Even just knowing the title and the location where the next series of 40k is going to be set could give us clues. Could be something Arcs of Omen related, or maybe even a Warzone Armageddon perhaps, and have Angron doing some more rampaging round there. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. What do you think is going to be coming at this preview? And if it had to be something on this list, what would you most like to see? If you'd like to see my roundup of the reveals, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. I'll hopefully get a video done very shortly after the preview comes out. I'm sure they'll give us something fairly interesting to talk about. Finally, if you've been enjoying the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, which is the main thing that allows me to keep on making videos like this quite so regularly. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.